Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us. To learn about our HDMI switching solutions, that's right, these are not just your simple HDMI A/B selector switches anymore. We've got a lot of user-friendly and integrator-friendly tools built in to these products to ensure that these are going to be a useful, valuable solution for you, a reliable solution, of course we know, but you're going to find that there's some features in here that are actually going to really make these products the centerpiece of your system. So for those of you who don't know and may not have familiarity with HDMI switches, when are you going to use an HDMI switch? Well, you use an HDMI switcher to select between multiple sources to go to a single display. Now, that may sound pretty simple and straightforward to you. You say, oh, my HDMI LED monitor or display has 2, 3, 4 HDMI inputs. Why do I need to spend extra money on a switch? Well, it's not only when there's multiple sources going to a single display, but it's also if you have limited inputs at the display, like a projector with maybe only 1 or 2 HDMI inputs, or if you have limited cabling at the display. For example, if that projector, you only have 1 HDMI cable or Cat6 wire going to that projector, you use the switcher on the front end to select between those 2 or 4 sources, sending that selected source to that display or projector over that single wire. It makes it ideal for conference rooms, classrooms, huddle spaces. We see this application diagram here where we have 2 PCs going into a 2x1 switcher, for example. And we could build this to be part of a system here at KeyDigital where your 2 PCs, one of them could be a video conferencing host. We can route the USB data from our camera and a USB mic speaker combo to feed into the video conferencing host computer to create a hybrid classroom type situation. And we also use these in theater spaces as well, because as you could see from some of this connectivity that we're going to dive into in more detail, there's also audio de-embedding. So the audio of the selected source can go right out on digital or analog audio into your amplifier or audio system for a very convenient all-in-one solution. Now, not every system is so in-depth as that huddle space or the classroom that needs to be used for hybrid applications. So we have our Pro series and we also have our Slim series. The Slim series is obviously a smaller form factor with slightly less connectivity, but there's going to be a lot of commonalities here that we're going to cover to make sure that that Slim series is still as 100% as valuable and useful to you in your application as the Pro series. So what are the features that separate the Pro from the Slim? Well, first of all, the Pro series is a rack mountable HDMI switch. So it's a single rack unit in height, and it includes in the box a small rack ear for the side that goes right up against the rack wall or the rack side, the structure. But then you also have a half rack blank so that you can install it in that full rack width. If you do need to mount 2 of these side by side, we even have an additional accessory, and you could talk to your sales team member for more information on that. But we would be able to couple those 2 together and rack mount 2 Pro Series switches across a single rack space. Also, the Pro Series has IP controllability, so it can be integrated with our free KeyDigital app this way, and it even has a web UI as well. So all of that's only possible exclusively to the Pro Series because of the Slim Series doesn't have IP control. However, we see some of these other features such as 4K resolution with 18 gigabit per second bandwidth support, HDCP 2.2, HDR10. These are common features shared, our full buffer system as well, shared with our Slim Series switch. One of the really cool features that makes this ideal for your huddle spaces and conference room is auto switching. The Pro 4x1X-2 has a slide switch. Set this to on, and now this is going to be fixed. You could set it and forget it, and this is how the switcher will always function. If you connect, say you've got a conference table or huddle space table. You got two laptops or two wires at the front and the rear of the table. Come in, plug in your laptop. It will now automatically select that newly connected signal. By the way, this could even mean if a source just powers on as well, as long as the source device provides that HPD, hot plug detection voltage, at the time of powering on. Some sources, they like to give the hot plug even when they're powered off. So that would cause problems with the auto switching feature. But that's not so common in this kind of application like a huddle space and conference room. Similarly, if you disconnect your HDMI cable, the switcher will then sequentially advance looking for an active signal until it finds one, and it will land on that through the auto switching. Another cool feature exclusive to the Pro series is you could wire a button to switch the switcher. So a momentary press sends the voltage through to the trigger input on the rear Phoenix connector, the control Phoenix connector, and it will sequentially advance as well, making a very easy user interface. Doesn't get any easier than just pressing a easy button on your table, right? The Pro Series switcher also has four audio de-embed ports, two analog, one is Phoenix. That could be balanced or unbalanced. So if you're balanced audio, obviously you're wiring all 6 pins. For unbalanced, you could just use the positive and the ground on the left, positive and ground on right. There's no mono format conversion, but if you were to wire that, connecting the left and the right side to feed into your audio system, it could work that way, summing that audio for you. There's another analog audio connection is this 3.5 millimeter port here. Now you may notice from the specs on the left side, the Phoenix is a hotter signal, 2 VRMS. The 3.5 millimeter is 1 VRMS. So it's just, some audio systems, they say, it's coming in too hot. Other audio systems say it's coming in too quiet. And so we give you those two options there to work with to put you in the Goldilocks zone, if you will. On digital, we have optical, and so the optical connection, which is really popular for integrating with sound bars, and we have a digital PCM RCA connection. On the Pro and the Slim, so this is going to be something that I'm not going to duplicate the content here. So just it works the same way on the Slim series. As I'll remind you, there's an EDID dial. You set that dial, and that's going to provide the handshake to the connected sources. And we give you 16 different options that you could choose from. Usually it's 3 options for each resolution. So it's the resolution with a 2-channel audio format, a 5.1 and a 7.1 HD audio format. And we even give you 4K resolution in 10G or 4K in 18G. We have some 1920 by 1200 in here. So we really have assembled a great database of EDID handshakes, and you, the integrator, get to choose exactly what you want the sources to see as the output resolution and audio format that they should output in order to accommodate your integration system. We also have this really useful tool on the front of the unit. It's called Forced HPD. So we've talked about this in some of these courses already. Forgive me if any of this is redundant to you, but HPD is just, if you have a source connected directly to the display, it's voltage and it's a loop. So it is voltage that goes from the source to the display saying, hey, you got a live partner here. And that's what lets that projector, for example, know, all right, we could land on this input instead of just continuing looking, right? Or it's what lets, I think LG is the displays where sometimes if there's no, they'll tell you, they don't even make that HDMI input a selectable source unless they have hot plug detection voltage there. And it goes backward also from the display to the source, and it happens even before the handshaking is initiated. And it's just what kicks off that entire sequence. So it sounds easy in a one-to-one connection, but a lot of times you have switchers, extenders, and more. And so we could fix that voltage to the high state and just really hopefully, if you should ever encounter any kind of issues in the field of, the projector's just not landing on the source, flip this to the on position, and it's going to be a nice troubleshooting tool for you. The other thing that the Pro Series has is setup via USB. So you open this up out of the box. It used to be that you would have to set a static IP address on your computer to go into the static IP address of the switch and begin setup, right? Not anymore. Just connect the USB cable. It's included in the box. Open our KeyDigital management software. You could set the name of the unit. Here I've just entered HDMI switch, but if you have 5 of these or 10 of these in a building, you could give them each a unique room name, for example. You could enter the input and output names so that for the user, they're not looking at just generic numbers, but actual user-friendly names. And you could enter your network settings. Now, what makes the Pro Series next level is that it also has the ability to integrate and control our KD CAM USB. And to do that, in the KDMS, KeyDigital Management Software, you will see where you can use this drop-down menu to tell the system you have one camera. By selecting that one camera control, now we have visible this tab in the user interface for camera control, including presets, pan, tilt, zoom, power on, off, and privacy. Similarly, we do the same thing for our AMP 220. If you have a presentation space where you need some amplification in the room and you'd like to perhaps even have a microphone, you can say, yes, I have a camera, or excuse me, yes, I have an amplifier, and hit that selection box. Now we're going to have the tab visible. So we have the audio control page. And if you have a microphone, hit the tick box, and now the microphone volume slider is visible. We don't want to put that there if there's not an microphone connected to the amplifier, just like we don't want to put the audio tab there if there's no amplifier connected. So it's just a series of checkbox and drop-down menus that builds this user interface, never showing anything that should be confusing for the end user, only showing things that are practical and usable. So that creates this completely integrated system with the Pro Series switcher. If you just want switching, great. But if you have an amplifier, the controls come from your free KeyDigital app or the web UI, as I'll show you in a moment, and go in on the network port, of course, where the commands are then output on the Phoenix connector. So it is IP to RS-232 conversion and then being forwarded out of those pins, the transmit and ground pin, into the amplifier's control port. And of course, you could take the audio from the Pro Series switch into the amplifier as well. For the camera, here's what's so cool. Because we're using Phoenix connectors, we've already got our RS-232 to the amplifier, but your Phoenix pin, you could just double stuff your wires. Double stuff the wire, and the commands are discrete between the camera and the amplifier. So it's never going to cause any confusion. You're able to control the camera, you're able to control the amplifier, and it's all for free from the free app or from our web UI. So we could see here the UI of the amplifier control, audio, source selection, and PTZ camera control. Now with the web UI, instead of just having the free iOS app, because that's limited to iOS, of course, this opens it up so that you could do this from a PC or Android device in addition to iOS now as well. You've got your switching, you've got your camera control with presets, you have your audio control, and we even allow you to configure the switch through the web UI as well by entering the settings icon. And of course, the web UI is completely password protected. You could enter the device name, the input name, and you can control the audio control, camera control, network settings, and more. But remember, all KeyDigital devices have a static IP. 192.168.1.239 is the default IP address for the Pro Series switch. So generally, we recommend that you connect via USB first to set up the switcher and set that desired IP address. Unless your network is 192.168.1. something, then you could just plug in the switcher and you're going to be able to access it through the web UI as well. So this is all made possible, all this integrated system control, thanks to the Pro Series ability to forward RS-232 commands from the IP. So just to kind of recap how this all works, the control originates on the IP port from the web UI or the KeyDigital app. Then step 2, the IP information is forwarded to the RS-232 output on the transmit and the ground pins. Yes, it is one directional only, okay? For AMP220 control, we connect the transmit and ground into the amplifier. For camera control to the camera, just as we had already shown. So it's truly very powerful, very, very powerful switcher that, although it doesn't originate the commands, it forwards them. And actually, you can do this from your own third-party control system if you wanted to. You could connect, it basically gives you RS-232 port, and it's a flexible baud rate in the switcher. So if you wanted to connect a projector, for example, with RS-232 control, and it was the projector used ASCII format characters and up to 16 characters maximum. Those are the two requirements, ASCII and 16 characters maximum. And those commands could come in on the network port with the header FWD parentheses, and then what is within those parentheses gets output and forwarded on the RS-232 port. So that XXX, as you see it there, that's actually the command of the device you want to control. So it's really cool, really, really powerful stuff there in the professional series switcher. But again, not every application requires all of that. I think it's really cool. I love that kind of stuff. But here's our Slim Series switcher, which is obviously a smaller form factor. But we see the stuff that makes it reliable, like our full buffer technology, the stuff that makes it the latest and greatest and worth spending money on, like 4K resolution, 18 gigabit per second bandwidth, HDCP 2.2, support in HDR10, all supported. How small are the Slim Series? How slim are the Slim Series? Well, we see the dimensions here. The S2x1X is not even, it's a half an inch shorter than, or well, 5/12 of an inch shorter than an iPhone 13 Pro Max. And the S4x1X model is 7.7 inches, where the 13 Pro Max iPhone is 6.3. So just, you know, you could just paint the picture there for sure. Now, the Slim Series is not just HDMI in and out, though. Just like with the Pro, we even have audio de-embedding. There's only 2 ports, though, on this product. For digital, you get it on an optical. Once again, perfect for integrating with sound bars. For analog, you get it on a 3.5 millimeter port to connect in your amplifier, for example. EDID control. Here we see the rotary. I've already explained what that does for you in the earlier sections of this video, and the forced hot plug detection as well. See, EDID and hot plug, this is the secret sauce. This is what makes this product, separates it from those products that you could find on online for, you know, $50 or $20 or $30. We all know it could get really cheap. Is it going to work? Well, forced hot plug detection tool makes products work, even if otherwise they would have had compatibility issues. The EDID control allows the integrator to choose the exact video resolution and audio format that they need to get a reliable signal throughout their system. So it's all included there. But we do have one really fantastic feature in the Slim Series that came out of necessity for a project we were working on and rolled out in large quantities, is that, you know, it's had this RS-232 port that we've used for firmware updates, but it previously wasn't a, it's had a USB port that we've used for firmware updates, but it wasn't like a typical RS-232 USB. It was very specialized. But now we support RS-232 control on this USB. And we include this kind of diagrammed cable here that's 3.5 millimeter for you to plug in your control system, like our bright sign player here. And so the bright sign can switch, do an A/B switching selection for a digital signage application where it's wanting to alternate back and forth between signage information and perhaps playing content from a cable box that could be a little more entertaining for the folks in this application's setting as well. And that accessory cable is included in the box. So there you have it, folks. I hope that you see the just the value and the thought that we put into the Pro Series and Slim Series HDMI switches. If these solutions are going to be a good fit for you, please reach out to us, sales@KeyDigital.com, and we'll get you set up there with everything you need and all the information you may need to design your systems around these